Hi there, traders. This is Brad Gilbert with today's trading action. All right, now just looking as we come into the Asian session, seeing the US equity futures off just a touch, right? That they have hardly moved. And with that, we are seeing no uniform or clear direction on the major currency pairs. The yen and Swiss still seem to be taking a bit of a beating, but not much else is going on just at the moment, right? And today we have a bunch of important things. Now, starting with the Aussie dollar, if I just get the calendar up here. Now, there's a couple of things, right? We had retail sales figures last week out of Australia. They were the prelim numbers, right? As far as I can tell, that was the first time I've seen prelim and then final numbers. We do have the final numbers here, minus 0.2. Now, this is important for the RBA because those really weak retail sales figures last week really sort of should slow down their hawkish tone. Now, there is the possibility, slight possibility, if I come over to New Squawk, having a look at, well, here's the retail sales range, very important for the number, minus 2.2 expected, minus 0.3 to plus 0.3, right? That's a pretty big range for retail sales. Now, what I wanted to get to was, let's have a look here at the expectations for the RBA cash rate. Now, the low and the high, there is a slight chance, even though it's very minute, chance of them raising by 0.25. I think would absolutely be a disaster, but if they did, the Aussie dollar would rally, right? Now, that is like it's a little bit factored into the market already, right? So if they stay on hold, we might see the Aussie drift lower through the course of the day. Now, just having a look at that, I'll come back to the other opportunities we have, but just looking at the Aussie dollar, right, on a, well, on the daily perspective, just get the pen back up. Okay, it's still within the range, right? It needs to break through 67, the figure on the top side, to get it moving top side again, right? Moving aggressively to the top. And that will probably happen if they do raise rates, which, as I said, is slightly factored in. On the hourlies, it has already sort of broken higher, right? So it's the path of least resistance we're looking for. But if I come over here and have a look at the Aussie on the hourlies, right, against all the crosses, okay, it has already been moving higher with that interest rate differential, right? Most countries are looking to, cut rates at some stage. For some reason, inflation numbers have been a little bit higher, and it's like the Fed, right? They are sort of, well, actually a little bit different to the Fed. Not only are they staying pat, but they're actually looking at to potentially raise rates. And you can see the Aussie is going up against everything. So when I look at that, I'm like, okay, so there's a real good choice here. I like the Aussie Swiss, the Swiss being a little bit neutral, or you know what, when I showed you the other screen, I'll come back to it. The Swiss is losing ground against everything. So the Swiss is going down. So if we get a strong retail sales figure or a hawkish tone from the RBA, the path of least resistance, well, we've got a cross here that's going up, Aussie, and the Swiss going down. So that could be worth a look. And if I look at the daily charts here, right, just looking at both, you can see here Aussie Kiwi up, right, Aussie Yen up. You've got Aussie Swiss going up. Like there's loads of room here to move. And then Euro Aussie down, Sterling Aussie down, and Aussie up against the CAD, right? This is an interest rate differential trade, right? More like a trend trade. So if we see something different from the RBA, and it changes that interest rate perspective, well, then that's what we're going to get on the currencies here, the crosses. So if they do hike rates, well, it is partially factored in, but it will keep going, right? Because all these other countries are talking about cutting rates. But this is the spanner in the works, right? So last week's retail sales figures, right, are really going to put a big question mark over their plans of being super aggressive, right? So that's what we need to be playing with. And then outside of the Aussie, now we do have a few things coming out now. The German balance of trade figures are highlighted as a high impacting number. To me, balance of trade, except for China, isn't really a thing. It was never like great, but we do start to see some UK data, right? The global construction numbers, the house prices, new car sales, that's like a nothing number. And then you got the Bank of England Hall speaking later on. We'll have a look at that. In amongst that, you've got the Eurozone retail sales figures. So a little bit of activity in Europe. Aussie, obviously with the RBA cash rate, the important one. Don't forget the Ivy PMI, right? This is a good number for the Canadian dollar there as well, right? So that's your major trading action. To me, the Aussie, it's a little bit convoluted, right? There is a chance of an interest rate hike, albeit minute, but it is there. If they don't raise rates, I would expect them to stay with that aggressive tone. If for some reason they come out and they start sort of going, you know what, last week's retail sales figures have really spooked us, which, you know, they never use that sort of terminology, but then we may see them hold and then say, you know what, we need to see more data. Maybe we don't raise rates, right? So as I said, this is the range. If we see the retail sales figure here come out strong, okay, up towards plus 0.3, well, you know what? It goes a little bit further to correcting last week's prelim number and maybe pushing the RBA into a potential hiking situation or hiking, all right? A little bit of a funny one. It's good to have the central banks on edge, like potentially changing rates. A little bit unexpected to have someone with already high interest rates looking to raise interest rates. I don't see it, but that's what I'm reading, and it's the objective view that says this is what they're looking at, and that's what we need to be focusing on, right? So when you come back and look at your charts and the screens, make sure you're weighing up before the release what's going up and what's going down. Okay, this makes it a bit easier. Okay, basically Aussie's going up against everything, and just depending on the way they're quoted is like Euro, Aussie, Sterling, Aussie. Obviously, Aussie's the terms there. They're going down. Everything else is going up. Interesting stuff. So let's see how this plays out. And as I said, retail sales figures in about 40 minutes. This could be the key to the whole situation. Strong numbers. You've got to be thinking probably buy Aussie, okay, ahead of their RBA cash rate. Anyway, we'll see how it plays out. Good luck, guys. All the best. Cheerio.